Welcome to our channel. If you enjoyed the stories we share, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts about the story. Your support helps us bring you more. On a stormy night, the sky was so dark that the stars hid behind heavy clouds, as if anticipating an impending disaster. The mansion, standing tall on the outskirts of the city, resembled an abandoned fortress, its large windows rattling in the cold wind. Behind those walls lived Edward Blackwell, a millionaire who had built his fortune through mysterious investments and shadowy ventures. His life was always surrounded by luxury and extravagance, but beneath the surface lay secrets as heavy as the approaching storm. His 50th birthday was an event fit for a man of his stature, a lavish party attended by the city's elite. Yet, behind the glittering lights and flowing champagne, something else was brewing. Blackwell knew, deep down, that this night was different. The glances exchanged among guests, the whispered conversations, and the unfinished dialogues all pointed to a looming threat. In his heart, Blackwell sensed that his time to face a long-avoided truth had arrived. After the last guest had left and the lights had dimmed, Blackwell vanished. There were no signs of a struggle, no traces of violence. It was as if the man had simply dissolved into thin air. By morning, the mansion was eerily quiet. The servants, entering Blackwell's room, found everything in perfect order. His bed was neatly made, his clothes hung in the wardrobe, and his polished shoes rested by the bed. But Blackwell himself was nowhere to be found. Detective Jack Raynor, known for his sharp mind and unyielding instincts, was called in to investigate. Raynor had solved some of the most complicated mysteries the city had ever seen, but this case felt different. The deeper he dug into Blackwell's world, the more he sensed he was entangled in a web of deceit and shadows. Something was hiding in the folds of Blackwell's life, something far more dangerous than a mere financial scandal or a family dispute. During the interrogation of party attendees, Emily Blackwell, Edward's only daughter, stood out as particularly suspicious. She seemed nervous, her eyes darting as if she were evading something. Her answers were guarded, but Raynor felt the weight of something unspoken behind her words. She was hiding something, but the question was, what did she truly know? As Raynor delved deeper into Blackwell's business affairs, he uncovered a chilling discovery, a dubious agreement with a clandestine organization known as the Shadow Consortium. This group was infamous for manipulating markets and eliminating those who dared stand in their way. Blackwell had been on the verge of closing a multi-million-dollar deal with the consortium, but had abruptly withdrawn just days before his disappearance. His sudden withdrawal had been a bold but perilous move. The consortium wasn't just a business partner, it was a global crime syndicate with unfathomable power. One evening, Raynor received a mysterious phone call. The voice on the other end was garbled, but the message was clear enough to send a chill down his spine. If you want the truth, come alone to the old harbor at midnight. The warning felt like an invitation to descend into a darker, more perilous world. Without hesitation, Raynor decided to take the risk. The old harbor was deserted and foreboding. The dark waters lapped quietly against the rotting wooden docks, and the only sound was the echo of Raynor's footsteps. There, at the edge of the pier, he found a small wooden box. Inside was an old photograph of Blackwell with an unknown man. On the back of the photo, a cryptic message was scrawled, "Trust is the greatest danger." Raynor dug into the identity of the mysterious man in the photo and discovered that his name was Victor Reed, Blackwell's former business partner. Victor had vanished under mysterious circumstances 10 years earlier, amidst rumors that Blackwell had betrayed him and stolen his fortune. The case was starting to feel like a riddle within a riddle. Could Victor's disappearance be connected to Blackwell's? Was Victor seeking vengeance after all these years? As Raynor unraveled more of the mystery, the threads began to converge when he received a key from Emily that led him to a secret safe in her father's office. Inside the safe were documents and recordings that threatened to upend everything. The recordings revealed that Blackwell had been under intense pressure from a dangerous syndicate, threatening to expose secrets he couldn't afford to let out. The syndicate wasn't just after his money, they wanted the information he held about international smuggling networks. Blackwell had been aware of the net tightening around him. In the days leading up to his disappearance, he had grown increasingly paranoid, trusting no one, not even those closest to him. He knew someone, perhaps within his inner circle, was betraying him. But he couldn't pinpoint who. Ultimately, Raynor discovered that Blackwell had not been kidnapped, he had orchestrated his own disappearance to escape the tightening grip of darkness that surrounded him. He had been on the verge of exposing an international network of smuggling and arms dealing, but knew that doing so would put his life, and his daughter's, at grave risk. He chose to vanish, hoping one day he could return and bring down the organization from the shadows. The most shocking truth was that Emily had known about her father's plan all along but couldn't reveal it, fearing for both their lives. Now that Detective Jack Raynor had uncovered the hidden truth behind Blackwell's disappearance, he realized that this was only the beginning. He had inadvertently become entangled in a much larger, far more dangerous game, one in which the stakes were higher than he had ever imagined. Raynor knew that the battle had just begun. The Shadow Consortium wasn't finished. They were still out there, pulling strings, manipulating lives. And now, they had their sights set on him.